A young man, stranded on a dark rural road, makes a phone call to his parents, but then vanishes into thin air. What happened to Brandon Swanson that eerie night in May 2008? Could new clues finally solve this chilling mystery? It was the night of May 14th, 2008, when 19-year-old Brandon Swanson disappeared, leaving behind nothing but questions. Brandon had just finished his first year of college, and like many young people, he was excited for what lay ahead. He spent the evening celebrating the end of the school year with friends, but what started as a joyful night would soon turn into one of the most perplexing mysteries in recent history. Brandon was driving home that night from a small party in Canby, Minnesota. It was a route he was familiar with, one he'd taken many times before. But something went wrong. Just after midnight, Brandon's car veered off the gravel road and into a ditch. Stranded but unharmed, Brandon did what anyone would do. He called his parents for help. Brandon told his parents he wasn't far from home and gave them directions to his location. His father, Brandon Swanson, set out to find him. Over the phone, Brandon described his surroundings. He mentioned he could see lights in the distance, likely from a nearby town. But when his parents arrived at the spot where Brandon thought he was, they found nothing. No car, no Brandon. Confused and increasingly worried, Brandon's parents stayed on the phone with him as he tried to direct them to his location. For nearly 45 minutes, Brandon spoke with his father, sounding calm but frustrated. He described attempting to walk towards the town lights he could see in the distance. But then, suddenly Brandon's tone changed. He exclaimed, "Oh, shit!" and the call abruptly ended. It was the last anyone ever heard from Brandon Swanson. What happened in that moment? Brandon's parents immediately tried to call him back, but there was no response. They drove around the area for hours, searching for any sign of their son. As the sun rose, their worry turned to dread, and they contacted the authorities. Despite extensive searches involving police, volunteers, and even cadaver dogs, no trace of Brandon or his belongings was ever found. One theory is that Brandon may have fallen into the Yellow Medicine River, which runs through the area. The terrain is rough, and in the darkness, it's possible that Brandon misjudged his steps and ended up in the water. But multiple searches of the river, both by divers and sonar equipment, have turned up nothing. Could Brandon have somehow made it out of the water, only to meet a different fate? Another possibility is that Brandon was disoriented and ended up farther from the area than anyone expected. It's important to remember that Brandon was navigating rural roads in complete darkness, with only the dim glow of distant lights to guide him. Some believe he may have accidentally walked in the wrong direction, possibly succumbing to hypothermia in the chilly Minnesota night. But again, searches of the surrounding fields and woods found no evidence, no clothing, no phone, no footprints. There are also darker theories. Could Brandon have encountered someone that night? The sudden change in his tone before the call cut off suggests that something startled or frightened him. Could he have come across another person on that desolate road? Someone who meant him harm? There have been no reports of suspicious individuals in the area, but the possibility cannot be entirely ruled out. Then there is the mystery of the lights Brandon claimed to see. He was convinced he was near the town of Lind, but his car was eventually found over 20 miles away, near the town of Taunton. Was Brandon simply disoriented, or is there more to the story of those mysterious lights? Brandon's disappearance has left his family and investigators grasping for answers. Despite the passage of time, his parents have never given up hope. They continue to search, to ask questions, and to keep Brandon's story alive. They believe that someone out there knows something, some detail, no matter how small, that could bring them the answers they so desperately seek. The disappearance of Brandon Swanson is a chilling reminder of how quickly the ordinary can become extraordinary, how a simple drive home can turn into a mystery that spans years. It's a story that leaves us wondering, what really happened that night on that dark, rural road? Brandon Swanson's story is one of countless unanswered questions, and the search for the truth continues. If you're captivated by mysteries like this one, make sure to join us as we explore another unsolved enigma, the lost colony of Roanoke. Could a single carved word hold the key to one of America's oldest mysteries? Click on the next video and keep unraveling the untold truths.